Great. As I was saying, I would like to start, before we get to the press conference where we're going, I'd like to recognize some of the people who've worked so hard over the last months to get this show on the road, as it were. And I'm thankful that many of them are here. So I'd like to introduce some of our staff. First person I'd like to introduce is my wife, Nanette Zawistowski, who is our convention coordinator. It's the person who kind of makes sure things don't fall between the cracks. Nancy Channel, who is one of the people who really drove this convention. Nancy is really our chief of staff. Everything I have a problem with, Nancy gets a call, and she's handling our vendor relations. Brent Malanda is our marketing PR media relations person, and we're very fortunate to have someone of his caliber involved with us. Mark Lucas is here. He's our head of security. Again, a person that with tremendous credentials, and we're very fortunate to have some of his skill set helping us out with this first convention. Laura Rosenberg is here. She's our head of our hospitality committee and has really been doing some great work in the details of how this is all going to happen. Paul Baker is here. Paul Baker has got a tough job. He's kind of managing the breakout sessions and all the things that we have to do to make this convention a success, and we appreciate that. Next to him is Tanya Baker, who has been our facilities consultant and really just a tremendous resource for an organization that's so new to doing something like this. And Tanya, thank you for all your efforts. You've made our job significantly easier because of your expertise. Jeff Updike is not here, I don't believe, but he's involved with our speakers committee, and he's been doing a great job of helping us find speakers. Andy Russ is our attorney and a patriot, and he's been just tremendous helping us get this organized legally. It's not a simple thing, much more complicated than we would like to believe. And Jason Dover is here. Jason Dover is our treasurer of our corporation, and also a Patriot member, and someone who's really been willing to step into the breach, as it were, as I need things that no one else kind of can do. You know, I can call Jason anytime, and he just, gets on it, and it's been really helpful. John McAvoy is not here. He's got quite a long drive, and I told him not to make the effort until it was necessary, but he's one of our board members. So as you can see, we put together a pretty good staff. I want to recognize Warren Enstrom, who's here. Warren, though he's not formally has a position with the organization, he's been shepherding it along with Nancy when she started, and I really appreciate him being here. And Brenda Mack, a good friend of mine, who's just been an inspiration to me as a person who's committed so much of her time to help the conservative cause, and I appreciate you being here, Brenda. Thank you very much. So without any further ado, let's get on with the announcement, and I'll introduce our panel as we get going. But my name is Tom Zawistowski, and I'm the president of the We the People Convention, Inc., which is a new corporation, a 501c4 nonprofit educational corporation here in Columbus. And I am very proud to announce today that we are going to be having the first annual We the People Convention here at the beautiful Columbus Convention Center this July 1st and 2nd, 2011. Our convention is really a gathering of citizens. It is intended to bring citizens together who are interested in participating in the governing process as provided by the U.S. and Ohio Constitutions. That's really what this convention is about. The meeting will feature some significant national speakers. One of our keynote speakers, I'm happy to announce today, is Dick Morris, who is one of the leading political analysts in the country, who's going to come to Ohio and help us understand what's coming our way in the 2011 and 2012 election cycle. We also expect to have the declared candidates for President of the United States in 2012. We expect them to come to our dinner on Saturday night to introduce themselves to the citizens of Ohio. We're very excited about that possibility. Our mission statement is clear, and our mission statement was put together by Tea Party patriots who had input into our mission statement over the last several months. The purpose of this statewide convention shall be to recruit, educate, and motivate Ohio citizens at the grassroots level to perform their constitutionally defined role in the governance of their townships, their municipalities, their counties, as well as in our state and our nation, by providing opportunities and knowledge and training to ensure limited constitutional governance. So this convention is intended to educate our fellow citizens about the governance process and how we can participate in that process. In saying that, I think it's important for people to understand that for many of us in the Patriot movement, we have been learning as we go along that we clearly do not understand that process, that there were pieces that we just didn't understand. And we are really happy to have the chance to bring experts here, to bring people who can educate us into everything from how do you run for township trustee to how do the polls really work, what is a state central committee, things of that nature, really getting into the details. We expect this convention to attract conservative citizens from all parts of the political spectrum. Some of them will be members and leaders of Tea Party and 912 groups. Certainly that's obvious. But others will be devotees of tax reform, gun rights, states' rights, and other conservative issues. We expect to have a broad spectrum of not just Republicans, but Democrats and Independents, Constitution Party, Libertarians, anyone that believes in the Constitution and wants to learn more about the Constitution so that they can better participate in the governance of our state and our country and to make things better. So without further ado, I would like to introduce some of our panel, because we have had great support locally and nationally. And without that support, this event could not take place. And so we have put together several sponsors for the convention who are helping us in many different ways, not just financially, but by providing speakers, by providing breakout sessions, by really helping us put the kind of the infrastructure around this convention so then we can fill it in with some other content to make it even better. And with us today is a personal friend and a supporter of the Patriot movement across the country, and who's really a driving force for those of us in Ohio. Her name is Rebecca Heimlich, and she's the Ohio State Director of Americans for Prosperity, who is one of our sponsors. Rebecca, if you could say a few words, we'd appreciate it.
I've been really impressed with Tom's leadership and his team, and you would never know that this is the first time that they've done this. It seems like they've been doing it for 20 years. They're just doing an awesome job, and I'm so excited about the convention. Americans for Prosperity is thrilled and proud to be a sponsor. We are a nationwide grassroots free market organization. We have over 1.7 million members across the country. Here in Ohio, we have over 58,000 members. We do the same thing that other liberty groups do here in Ohio. We try to keep the government out of our pocketbooks and out of our liberties. And the mission of the convention this year is right in line with the project that we're doing that's called Ohio 180. It's all about turning Ohio around in 2011, because if you look at Ohio historically, we're a place where people used to come to find jobs and prosperity. And unfortunately, we have now become a place where people often leave to go find jobs and prosperity. So if you look at 1960, we were more prosperous than 3/4 of the rest of the country. However, today, we're less prosperous than 2/3 of the rest of the country. And if you look at what happened in that time period, government got really big and our taxes went high. And there are a lot of reforms that need to be made to turn that around. And I believe it can be done, but it's going to take grassroots help. It's going to take grassroots activism and citizens getting involved to make sure not only that we do the right thing this year, but also that our government continues down the path to prosperity. So I'm so excited about the education at the convention that we're going to have this year. Activists and citizens who are well educated can be more effective in affecting public policy. They'll know how to advocate. They'll know the issues. They'll understand the issues. They'll know where to go find the information that they need, so that when they talk with their elected officials, they'll effectively be able to give their position and to express their principles and why they believe what they believe and how they think that Ohio should change. And so I'm just excited about that opportunity, because we've seen a re-emergence of citizens who want to be involved in the process, and they just need the tools to be able to do that effectively. Some are already doing it, but we need more troops. So I'm excited about the opportunity, and as part of the convention, Americans for Prosperity Foundation is going to be having a Right Online training seminar. Right Online is all about new media training. What we do is we train people in social media and on blogs, and we give them other tools online to be able to engage in the public policy process and the public policy debate for free markets and for limited government. And it's also a great way to get younger people involved. I know a lot of young people believe that we should have less government, and I know that they're looking for a way to get engaged. And they spend their nights on Facebook and blogging anyway, so they might as well blog for liberty. So we're very excited about that, and I just appreciate Tom allowing us to have the opportunity to be a sponsor, and we're so proud to do so.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. We have, as I said, we have several sponsors, and it's been really exciting to work with these national groups and to learn from their experience. And Americans for Prosperity has certainly been leading the charge to help us have this convention. Our other sponsors I would like to mention are American Majority and the Heritage Foundation. We're very pleased about that. There are two other sponsors we think will be coming on, and we'll make those announcements as they become available. You can't have a great convention without great content, particularly if it's an educational convention, if that's the purpose. And so we've been reaching out to find people to come and put on the type of educational events that can help our citizens really understand the process, as Rebecca said. And she mentioned, the Right Online, event that they put on. It's just going to be fabulous for our patriot groups throughout the state. But we were really fortunate to have a resource here in Ohio that is really a national treasure and certainly an Ohio treasure. And with us today is Greg Lawson, who's the State House liaison and the policy analyst for the Buckeye Institute for Public Policy Solutions. The Buckeye Institute is just a great organization, and they have stepped up to help us. And Greg's going to tell us a little bit about how they're going to help us with our breakout sessions. Greg?
Well, it's quite a pleasure to be here, and the Buckeye Institute is very pleased to be a part of the We the People convention. Kind of echoing what Tom said, echoing what Rebecca said, information is king. Information is one of the most important things that you can have as you work towards grassroots activism and things of that nature. If you need to know what the issues actually are. To that end, the Buckeye Institute, we are a think tank. We're based here in Columbus, Ohio. Our goal is to provide research and solution options to policymakers by being a data-driven organization. We want to look at the numbers. We want to see what the numbers say. Sometimes we think the numbers tell a very compelling story about what economic freedom, economic liberty, embracing an entrepreneurial spirit, all of that means. And again, we work, one of the things that I do is work to try to get information into the hands of legislators who are going to be making decisions so that they can see what the numbers, again, say. Now, we don't do any kind of lobbying or anything, but we educate. And that's what we're going to be involved with at this convention. We are working to put together a program for what is called the State Issues Track, which means that we're going to be bringing together speakers, probably a few folks from the Buckeye Institute as well, but other speakers involved to explain some of the key issues that are confronting Ohio. We have sort of an outline that's been put together for what we think is important for people to understand. First of all, what are the issues that are facing Ohio? Rebecca talked about how Ohio used to be a place of prosperity, a place where people wanted to come and be here, raise families, build businesses, and keep their roots. And interestingly enough, going back, if you look at history a little bit, from the end of the Civil War through the early 1920s, Ohio was a very strong state, very powerful in the nation. And we had 7 of, I believe, 12 presidents that came from the state of Ohio. And that doesn't happen unless you are a state that has clout, a state that has prosperity and a growing, excited population. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. Things have stagnated for a while. We want to give an overview. One of the 7 breakout sessions that we're going to be working to create will sort of give an overview of the issues and the challenges that are facing the state of Ohio. We also believe it's very important to look at the financials that the state of Ohio has, and we obviously will be looking at where the state is in terms of what it's spending. We're going to take a look at some of the big things that are going on right now. I mean, everybody knows about Senate Bill 5, the collective bargaining reform. It's in the media all the time. It's important that everybody understands what this legislation actually does do and what its goal is and what the potential implications are. So one session will focus on the financials. Another session will focus on business recovery. How do we overall make Ohio an attractive place to create businesses? If you don't have businesses, you're not going to have jobs. If you don't have jobs, people don't come and, again, lay down their roots. So that's absolutely critical. We're going to take a look at some of the things that Ohio is doing and some of the things that perhaps Ohio could choose to do a little bit better to make it a more attractive place. Also, we're going to look at healthcare reform, not just from the federal standpoint, but right here in Ohio. A lot of people don't realize how important issues like Medicaid is just within the state of Ohio and how much of state money is spent on this program. And until you get your hands around the issue of Medicaid, you really are missing one of the largest pieces of the puzzle in terms of dealing with the state of Ohio budget and what Ohio is able to do, because it's consuming an awful lot of resources and it's continuing to consume resources. There's a lot of talk of reform in Medicaid in the current budget debate. We'll talk some about that and look at what some of those options are. By that point, we probably have a real good idea what those are, since the budget will have been passed by the time of the convention. We're looking very much forward to kind of explaining that so people will understand. We're also going to look at things like criminal justice reform. It's another big issue at the State House, and it may not sound like it's a huge issue for prosperity, but it is. We spend a lot of money on the prison system in Ohio, and finding a way to do several things, dealing with getting people who could be productive back into society, but also dealing with the simple fact of, what do you do with all these buildings? What do you do with the construction costs? How much can Ohio afford? We're going to look at some of the things that are going on with respect to that issue as well. And of course, you can't talk about policy issues in Ohio without discussing education, primary and secondary education, touching on higher education and the ability to get students and young people to have the skill set that they need to, again, of course, whether it's starting businesses or being somebody who can be tapped into as a great resource for existing businesses. This is all very important. We need to look at the education reforms, what is happening, what can happen, what should be done even better. And then we also are going to have a session looking at the nature of Ohio government 4 years out. This is going to be an opportunity to look at what kind of things can the governing structures of Ohio itself look like in order to maybe make Ohio more, again, I keep coming back, but more conducive to businesses, more conducive to creating jobs. Is there inherent issues within the structure of government that need to be looked at to make it better? So all of these things come together, and we think it's very important that the folks who come to this convention will have this information, combining it with the information that Americans for Prosperity is going to bring to the table in terms of how to be active, but now to have some of the arrows in the quill, so to speak, so that you can move forward and have the kind of conversations that need to happen with your family, your friends, neighbors, local elected officials. Again, come back to it, information is king. Buckeye Institute believes it's the lifeblood of good public policy, and we're going to do our best to make sure that everybody who comes here comes away with just a little bit more.